Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I think I'm potentially dealing with a wild animal that went underneath the house and died, because I just went in my son's bedroom and boy, it smells like death. And so, well, actually it was yesterday that I went in there and we smelled it. So what I did today is we had to wait until it was hot, because it doesn't stink unless it's in the middle of the daytime when it's hot. And so we closed his door and I just walked in there and boy, that was a rough smell. So now I got to figure out who to call on that. Look at Crypto Bull. XRP could reach $40 by September. If we follow the same monthly percentage increase, price will hit $1.70 this month, $6 in August, and around $40 in September. Well, Crypto Bull, let me tell you what, all bets are off, because you could be right that if the patterns are similar, but all bets are off now, because guess what we're about to get? Joe Indoso explains it here, post lawsuit. Joe Indoso from Link2 was on Tony Edward Thinking Crypto. Watch this.
It's going to have two really positive impacts from that. So I'm super positive that it's going to have two really positive impacts from an investment standpoint. Number one, it will clear the path for banks to utilize ODL, on-demand liquidity, because there will be no regulatory burden or liability associated with their buying and selling XRP in the course of using ODL. Right?
Right.
And what does that mean? It means that there will be significantly more demand for XRP, and the amount of trading liquidity around XRP will significantly increase. And the second really material benefit is that it will significantly increase the value of the XRP escrow that Ripple holds. So Ripple will benefit, A, because it'll have much greater market adoption for its payment processing product, more customers, more revenues from those customers, but also the intrinsic value of the escrow will increase. Those two things are significant investment drivers for Ripple stock.
There was a quote a long time ago from Brad Garlinghouse where he said, we're going to drive massive demand for XRP. I believe you're about to see it, and I think Joe Indoso knows it. Now, Link2 is my sponsor, but I wanted to go over a few things with you. You need to go check out Glint and see what that thing's been doing, folks. I'm an investor in Glint. I'm an investor in Ripple. Look, all these things, folks, are XRP centric. Glint is working on creating an XRP bridge. Ripple is, of course, XRP centric. PolySign is an XRP centric company. Link2 is an XRP centric company. I'm just telling you the ones I own. I just bought more Uphold because it's an XRP centric company. The whole game is about to change, and so that's why I own those. They just added some more Chainalysis. Chainalysis is involved in everything in blockchain, and this one I need to add, but I haven't yet. Nick Birafedo made us aware that it's been added. But there's a little bit more Glint. It's almost gone. Chainalysis just got added, some of that. Ripple, you know what I've been saying about that. There's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves in the coming few weeks, probably, when that Ripple runs out and they can't replenish it. Okay, so check it out. Ripple's latest report, let this sink in, 250 trillion by 2027 in cross-border payments alone. I got a lot to cover here, folks, so I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. A huge shift in finance is underway. More than 80% of global finance leaders expect to begin using crypto in their businesses in the next 3 years. They've got a 2023 new value report you can download, folks. Now, Jimmy Valley came out of nowhere yesterday. Says there are a series of documents and agreements that constitute the investment contract for Ethereum. This is back when Ethereum did their ICO, folks. A purchaser in the Ethereum pre-sale did not receive actual Ether tokens in connection with the sale because the network was not operational at the time of the pre-sale. Instead, purchasers of Ether in the Genesis sale were awarded cryptographic receipts to claim their purchase once the product has been developed and is ready for delivery. Man, that Ripple ruling, it could be disastrous for those guys. That's why none of these legal analysts, quote, legal analysts are weighing in on how it affects Ethereum, folks. Mr. Intuitive reminded us yesterday, don't forget, in 2021, Congress extended the statute of limitations 10 years. New legislation grants the SEC 10 years in which to seek any equitable remedy, including for an injunction or for a bar, suspension, or cease and desist order. Folks, you know how they've said in the past that large percentage of the tokens could go away? That could be how you make them go away, is an injunction. That would come in, the SEC could come in, the way I read that, and say, we're going to make an injunction against Ethereum or whoever they want that is not XRP, because XRP is free. Then we've got this, a wallet that received 61,000 Ethereum after the initial coin offering in 2015 transferred the entire amount to a wallet linked to crypto exchange Kraken. Blockchain data shows. Disguised whales hitting the exits. Is that what that is? Remember this guy from Andreessen Horowitz when he outlined? I'm not gonna play this, but what this is a guy from Andreessen Horowitz describing how they were. Remember the clip where Vitalik Buterin is announcing his fundraiser? It was 2014 Bitcoin Miami conference. In this clip, this guy from Andreessen Horowitz says that Andreessen Horowitz was there, which I have to assume would mean that Andreessen Horowitz was one of the disguised whales that bought Ethereum in the pre-sale. If they were there when he was announcing the fundraiser, I can't imagine that they wouldn't get some. And my question to Jimmy Valley here is, if any of these disguised whale purchasers were institutions, would that be a security? And if so, wouldn't it be very important to match those email addresses? Remember, you got to disguise yourself with email addresses only, right? And Jimmy Valley says, yes, but it's not the status of being an institution that's key. In my opinion, any and all sales of the Ethereum pre-sale were securities transactions, regardless of whether the buyer was an institution. Why? Because of the way the transaction was marketed and sold. And then there's this guy. This guy's from Coin Roots. Listen to this.
But they have a even better chance of going after issuers who might be funding their projects directly by issuing tokens directly to accredited investors.
All right, I'm not going to play any more of that because I got too much to show you. Remember the Ethereum Shuffle? No, that's not what it was called. The ETHgate Boogie. This was created, I don't remember who created this.
And I'm going to give basically a high-level presentation of what Ethereum is as a technology, and then
we love the ETHgate Boogie on the Digital Asset Investor channel.
Including its IPO.
Putting aside the fundraising that company.
Putting aside the fundraising.
Putting
aside the fundraising that company to creation of Ether.
Its IPO.
Putting aside the fundraising that company to creation of Ether.
Its IPO. Its IPO.
Putting aside.
IPO.
Putting aside
Its IPO.
Putting aside the fact that you just robbed the bank. You're no longer a bank robber. Putting aside the fact that you murdered somebody in 2010. You are no longer a murderer because you're not murdering someone now.
Putting aside
its IPO. Its IPO.
Don't you love this beat?
Putting aside
its IPO.
The problem is the lawyers are telling us is an illegal securities offering.
Putting aside
the fact that you did an illegal securities offering and you are no longer a security because Bill Hinman said so. That was fun. All right, Judge Torres' decision has become known as the Torres Doctrine. John Deaton says the Torres Doctrine, as it has been called, is simply a strict application of the 1946 test to modern day blockchain technology. Now, I think this phrase came, let me see if I lined it up right. I did not. I'll get to it in a second. It was Richie, I can't remember the guy. It was a congressman that wrote a letter to Gary Gensler. We'll get to it in a minute. First, let's show you what John Deaton said. He was on with Lewis Cohen yesterday.
Let me ask you this. There was a lot of criticism.
Lewis Cohen's an attorney, by the way.
That her decision should be overturned because it's inconsistent. I heard the word backwards, perverse is another word, because she found investment contracts with the institutional sophisticated sales, but not the exchange sales. And just as someone who knows the law as well as you do, what's your response when someone says, "Oh, it's inconsistent, so she got it wrong"?
Balderdash. It's just, that's just people, that's a sore loser. That's just a sore loser. I'm sorry, you got it wrong, and now you're kind of grasping at straws here.
And whose responsibility is it, though?
Yeah, so
Congress.
I think that's exactly right, and
Congress, and we're seeing that. Now here it is. Warren Davidson, I joined my colleague in calling for Gary Gensler to embrace a different approach. The Ripple case should make clear that Congress needs to provide clarity that is lacking. Investors, innovators, regulators, I remain hopeful that we can and here's the Richie Torres was his name. Needless to say, regulating digital assets through enforcement only had a dreadful day in court last week in the wake of the resounding decision out of the SDNY Ripple case. SEC must reassess its continued assault on the crypto industry. My letter to Chair Gensler. And here it is right here, folks. He invokes the Torres Doctrine. The ability of the SEC to make up the law as it goes along will be, in the meantime, constrained by the persuasive authority that the Torres Doctrine will likely command in future legal cases. The tenuous legal foundation for litigation against Coinbase has come crashing down, and rightfully so. Think about this, folks. This was everything that Gary Gensler wanted to go after these exchanges. He was just neutered, folks. Literally gutted from what he wanted to do. Then we had, and make no mistake, folks, Chris Larson's no dummy. There's a reason that Chris Larson, he was on this podcast and he invokes Joy Ito. And do you know why he invoked Joy Ito? Because Joy Ito is this guy. I'll just let you sit back and read that for a second. Joy Ito is the guy that hired Gary Gensler at MIT, folks. They were best buddies. Look at this. Remember when Apollo named Jay Clayton to the board amid the fallout from this? The guy he replaced had to leave because of his ties to that person. Anybody remember this? I do. Here's Chris Larson.
Real crime here by Gensler and the SEC. It's a power play. They're using their enforcement action to shake down people into submitting to settlements so they gain power so he can regulate a huge industry. And probably
versus the Commodities Trade Commission.
It should be in the CFTC.
Oddly enough, I was at a party where someone from the commodities regulators and the SEC were arguing with each other, and I was standing in the middle of it. We should have it. No, we should have it. But they're essentially alleging that selling and distributing XRP, you were all raising capital from investors in order to finance the business where you argue it's a commodity. Correct?
Yeah, and that's completely incorrect.
Right.
The protocol was absolutely functional before anything was ever sold. It's just an asset that existed.
So this is the essential problem that you face. So you're not alone. The SEC has said almost 70 crypto tokens are securities. Why do you think he's been so aggressive in going after it? Just a power, like he wants to control it, and she feels like it's close enough to currency.
It's sort of it's sort of the Gary Gensler MO. It's sort of what he did when he was the CFTC, and it's sort of what he did when he brought down LIBOR. By the way, did a bunch of lawsuits, lost all of them, but he doesn't care. Yeah,
futures trading.
Yeah, he's trying to destroy the industry. That's what he's trying to do. Except Bitcoin. He's a Bitcoin fan. He's always talking about Satoshi, this, that, and the other thing. He did a bunch of tours with Joe Ito back in the day with MIT, all over the world, kind of bashing everything except Bitcoin. I just don't get that. That makes no sense to me. And it's totally inappropriate for a U.S. regulator to take that position. An unelected person talk about agency power, everything the Supreme Court hates these days. This should go to Congress. Congress should pass regulation.
It makes no sense that he would only be promoting Bitcoin, except for this. This would make it make sense. This would make it make sense. But I don't say that name on this channel. And then there's this from Bloomberg.
Today's Solana down the better part of 4%, but XRP, of course, is the token that continues to be the primary story after Thursday's ruling. Yes, when sold to institutional investors, it might be a security, but for retail players, it is not. That is according to the federal judge ruling that came down just days ago. And since that ruling on Thursday, XRP is up about 60%, gaining about 2% in today's session, Matt.
All right, well, Ripple's victory is being celebrated by the market by trading more of it than any other coin. Here you can see the market share of different coins in trading volume put together by Keiko Trade Data. You can see that, of course, half is the thousands and thousands of altcoins that we don't really even know the names of. Then you've got 8%, which is Ether. 20% is the OG Bitcoin, which typically rules supreme in terms of trading volume for one single coin. But now XRP has overtaken it, which I think is pretty amazing. Bloomberg Intelligence says this decision by the court is among the more important cases for determining regulatory authority over crypto assets. That's a lose for the SEC. Listen to what some of our...
You lose. By the way, XRP is at 81 cents. For those of you that have been around and you're old school, you've been with me since 2018-19, we used to talk a lot about a place called Liechtenstein, which is right next to Switzerland, I believe. Well, LCX is the exchange over in Liechtenstein. I think I want to go there before it's over. They did a whole thread on XRP as a digital asset and cryptocurrency that was created by Ripple Labs in 2012, actually by OpenCoin, to facilitate fast and low cost. Everybody is being activated, folks. Liechtenstein activated. Liechtenstein activated. That might be a long thumbnail. Liechtenstein's a long word. It's a good one, though. Then we've got this. John Deaton says the SEC is a broken institution. Here's his tweet. This is a tweet from this. It says a couple of requests for extensions and giving its opinion on whether syndicated loans or securities. Today, the SEC says it can't tell the court what its opinion is. Then John's talking about how it's a broken institution. I said, John, maybe the SEC isn't broken at all. Maybe it just serves a new master. Jay Clayton might know. Then here's another clip from Joe and Dose. Well, actually, I'm not going to play this one. Go and watch Tony's interview on YouTube. It's Thinking Crypto. I'm going to try to get the rest of this out of the way. Here's Jeremy Hogan, a 16-second clip with XRP. Darren.
But what the judge says here is that you have to analyze every sale in and of itself as far as XRP, the digital asset. And that's as far as this ruling goes. So it's very clear as to XRP. It's not so clear as to any other digital asset.
Whoa. The only digital asset with regulatory clarity. I'll skip that. Then this is from the Financial Services Committee. After Ripple decision, it's critical that Gary Gensler engage in Congress to ensure everyday digital asset users are protected. Legislation would do far more to prevent the future collapses of digital asset firms than enforcement actions. So French Hill has now written a letter along with Dusty Johnson to Gary Gensler, stressing the importance. So Gary's getting bombarded by Congress, and then out of nowhere, Chinese police arrest 21 in $55 million Tether money laundering case. And here's another congressman this is Richie Torres right here, putting Gary Gensler on blast.
Well, it has multiple meanings, but here's one. A regulator like the SEC, which has immense power, should strive to be merit neutral. Right? The proper role of a regulator is not to decide the merits of blockchain technology. That judgment should be left to the market. The role of a regulator should be to protect investors and consumers. And in my opinion, what we've seen from Mr. Gensler is not regulation, it's the weaponization of the SEC against the crypto industry which he considers useless and which he politically disfavors. And that, to me, is an abuse of power. That's a politicizing of the SEC and the failure to create a workable registration process for crypto companies that are striving to be compliant. Again, that to me is an example of politicizing the agency.
That's exactly what it's been. I'm going to skip that one. And I just wanted to show you, this is Ron Hammond. He's a lobbyist there in up in D.C. This week in Congress and crypto, as of right now, the stablecoin and market structure bills are slated for a vote in the House committees next week. A lot of back and forth behind the scenes, but Ripple case has made a huge impact on the politics of the bills. I'm not going to go through this, but the important thing for you to know is Ripple wins, XRP wins, crypto wins. But for now, it's the XRP show. And I believe that they're piecing it all together for me. I believe there's going to be a post-judgment settlement and XRP, then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing announcements of things that all these NDAs will be gone. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. XRP the one. XRP is free. Thanks for listening.